Thoughts on tactical having the combat knife and assault having the power sword? Okay, so the reason I clicked on this is because I wanted to see people talk about the assault having the power sword. Because I was just using the power sword quite a bit in PvP, using the bulwark, obviously. So I would think an assault player with the power sword, the speed attack, that could be dangerous. Now, essentially, chainsword has pretty good speed also, so the assault can just use the chainsword, right? But I don't know. Something about the assault having the power sword sounds extra scary, so I wanted to see maybe if I was the only one who thought maybe the power sword is better off without being on the assault. Because if you consider, you know, assault slams down and then they have the lunge attack with the power sword, that is insane. That would be insane. And not to mention the power sword's pretty good. Like the power sword's super fun to use also. Oh man, the more I'm thinking about it, the more I kind of want to try it out. But okay, let's get into how people react to this. So I'm a console player, and my friend on PC is playing with the Astartes 2.0 mod. So on my screen, he looks vanilla besides his gear. However, he was still able to invite me to a modded session, and we played a campaign mission as our operations characters, and I was able to pick up weapons along the way. Wait, what? The Astartes mod can... You can play your operation character in the campaign in Astartes? That's pretty cool. I mean, you know, that blue ultramarine is pretty nice, but I would also like the Tomb Keeper skin, you know? I like the colors on that. I picked up the combat knife as a tactical, and it felt natural. I almost forgot tactical had the restriction of only using the chainsword. Aren't combat knives standard issue for the Astartes? Okay, so for the tactical having the combat knife. I think tacticals, you know, they're specialties and primary weapons, so I'm not like super annoyed about the tactical not having, you know, the combat knife. However, I do think it's like, it fits. It's still not super bad. Like, the tactical with the combat knife would be the worst. Whoever has the combat knife, it would be, what, Vanguard and Sniper? Yeah, tactical could be the worst class with it. Just because, I mean, you can catch people off guard with recon, but there's no way to kind of insert yourself into a fight. Like, Sniper can get into any fight because, you know, the cloaking, and then the Vanguard uses the grapple, so you can get right in there with the combat knife, and that's normally where it shines because of how fast and aggressive it is. But like, the tactical is gonna slowly walk up with the combat knife and just get shot at, so I don't know. I think the combat knife with the tactical could be good, but I can also see it kind of not being the best melee weapon for the tactical. Chainsword works very well because of the damage. But also, I guess, for the most part, if you can pull off the chainsword, you can pull off the combat knife, right? I played Assault on the modded session, and one of my fantasies was to use the power sword with it, and once again, it felt just right. Only problem is it didn't have a ground pound animation, which honestly could be fixed if they used the chainsword animation, or if the devs officially added the power sword to the Assault's arsenal. Okay, yeah, I guess it can feel good. Yeah, I don't know. I just think the power sword on the Assault could be overkill, but I don't know. We'll see. Personally, for a modded session, this all felt very vanilla to the game, and I liked it. Okay, I think that says a lot about the Astartes mod. The Astartes mod is really good. But yeah, I'm not surprised because they're both classes with melee weapons and then just putting different melee weapons on it. Sheesh. Could you imagine them just allowing any melee class just to use every melee weapon? That could be nice. I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth on this. I feel the tactical should get the knife and with Assault to have the power sword if we were having wishful thinking. Any pros and cons you think this will provide? Well, yes, the Assault could be too fast and definitely could just like one-shot everybody. But like, that's the thing. The Assault can kind of already do that, but with the hammer, it's a little slow. The chainsword also kind of takes time to rev up. The only thing that makes me hesitant on the power sword with the Assault is the speed mode. Because if you're doing a slam and they're at 1, if they're at lethal, the speed mode power sword will clean everything up. And not to mention, it's so fast that you're able to swing at the guy you just hit, and then if you hit a second guy with the slam, you could probably clean that up also. With the hammer or the chainsword, I feel like it's not fast enough. If they were both shooting at you, I feel like it's not fast enough to clean up like an entire team, where the power sword could potentially do that just because of how fast it is. But okay, let me see how people take this, because we talked about class restrictions before, But this is more like we're definitely zeroing in on 2 classes and 2 melee weapons that are seemingly easy to just add to those classes. Yeah, I don't even like the combat knife that much, and it's weird it's not on tactical. I prefer the chainsword, but it's still weird it's not on tactical. Okay. Much like the heavy bolt pistol being on assault only. Well, doesn't the heavy have it? Or does the heavy not have it? Oh no. It should 100% be shared between tactical assault and sniper. It'd go further and say that the sidearms should be just free on all classes, but at the bare minimum, tactical should have access to all 4 sidearms as well. I don't think it's super necessary. Again, the tactical is kind of like a primary weapons expert. I just don't think it's super necessary to put the heavy bolt pistol on the tactical. That being said, it's not like the strongest thing in the world, so I don't know. Heavy bolt pistol is good, but on the tactical, it wouldn't be that good. It wouldn't be that crazy. In the traction of the Astartes mod and them confirming official mod support is coming, maybe they can implement on consoles some things like any class can use any weapon. Why not at this point? I get what they were going for, but to be honest, it just feels better and looks cooler to have a heavy with a sword or a Vanguard with a hammer. Okay, whoa. No. No, Vanguard, if I'm playing Vanguard, I don't want the hammer. That's crazy. It's too slow. Vanguard has to be very fast and aggressive. It's just, you know, burst damage on the Vanguard's kind of rough if it's kind of delayed because you're going to grapple up there and then rev up an attack. Like, that's not going to work, dude. People are going to punish you. To have a heavy with a sword. And again, see, this is why some of this class restriction stuff kind of goes back and forth with me because, like, the heavy with a power sword, are you kidding me? The heavy's drawback is supposed to be the fact that they don't have melee weapons because they're carrying heavy weapons, right? I do have hope one day we get a 2.0 overhaul of the perk system and allow guns, armor pieces to be exchanged between all classes. Yes, some. We're talking about 2 right now. We're talking about the combat knife and the power sword. We are not talking about giving Vanguard the Warhammer. That's crazy. Ignoring whether an Astartes unit does or does not have access to the weapons you mentioned on Tabletop, the power sword on assault, what's the point? In the face of the Thunderhammer, the chainsword and the power sword are second class. Oh, so in the face of the Thunderhammer, the chainsword and the power sword are second class. Are they talking? Wait, hold on. So since they mentioned Tabletop, do they mean Tabletop? Is the Thunderhammer like super good for the Tabletop game? Also, you know, side mention here. I was watching the Warhammer Tabletop, like the championships or whatever, and it's super fun to watch. I just don't know what's going on. like seeing all the pieces, like the very expensive pieces, like actually be used in a battle is kind of sick. I did see a statue the other day that was what, $1,800. So that's a little crazy, but I don't think that was a statue for the Tabletop game. But some of those Tabletop pieces can get pretty insane as well. Your assault is all about AoE and big hits. Having a power sword doesn't play into this. I will actually push back on that. The power mode for the power sword kind of can give AoE, or at least it gives penetrating, where if you have 2 people in front of you and you can hit both of them essentially. And big hits, I don't know. Again, the power mode for the power sword can potentially do that. But yeah, sheesh. Man, I don't know. The assault is just so fragile. I can kind of see where the power sword would only be useful if they were doing the slam, you know? Whereas the hammer can kind of one-shot people around the corner. That's really good. Yeah, it is kind of strange that the assault has access to the chainsword and not the power sword, seeing how similar they are. But I guess the speed mode for the power sword is the thing that could potentially break that class. As for tact and combat knife, makes more sense, but you have the chainsword, which offers greater AoE through chaining 2 stomp attacks and the sweeping strikes in its combo. So if it's a visuals and because I want them, cool, play modded servers. If that's what you think they'll make a difference or a better than existing options, I should imagine not. Okay, so this guy doesn't think the power sword would replace the Thunderhammer. So I don't know. That's a take. He has downvotes, but I mean, it is, you know, it is a honest opinion here. I hope they don't dilute class identity by crossing the weapons over. I agree with that. I like the way classes feel unique. I do feel like too much crossover could definitely muddy up the waters a bit. It definitely makes the game feel a bit too similar. You know, too many classes feel too similar to each other. That, I don't know, that could feel a bit, I don't know, just kind of underwhelming, I think, as far as, you know, class identity and stuff. That being said, I don't think the power sword on the assault would, like, destroy class identity. I think that's, like, probably fine. Same for the tactical. But again, yeah, I do kind of see this guy's point where they wouldn't be the best in slot, even though I do think the power sword could potentially be the best in slot for the assault. I don't think the combat knife or tactical is best in slot. But okay, yeah. That's a fair opinion. Tactical needs cleave and fencing, so I don't think knife compares to the chainsword. Assault will always be hammer bro for me. Well, okay. I feel like this is the one class restriction conversation that kind of came down to, like, yeah, you could put the combat knife on tactical, but I wouldn't even use it. So I don't know. Maybe the devs have something going on with the class identity, class restrictions at the moment. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like this says a lot, to be honest. Assault will always be yeah. Like, if I'm playing assault, I'm using the hammer, man. I really don't want to use anything that feels too small for the assault, just because that's kind of the assault's aesthetic, you know? Slamming down with the hammer is just so satisfying, dude. Even with the charge attack, oh man, it's so good. It's so good. And yeah, as far as tactical goes, the chainsword's perfectly fine. I don't really need, you know, the combat knife. I don't know. Let me know how you guys feel about this in the comments. I did like to fantasize about the assault with the power sword just a little bit, but I couldn't see me replacing the hammer. Even if the power sword's better, I couldn't see myself replacing the hammer, man. It's the thunder hammer. Come on.